Did you put snacks in here?
Yeah.
You guys want to get out here and get some? Hit it hard. We're here. You guys look like you're literally about to play basketball. Hello. Look the part.
Nobody saw this coming. Not the fans, not the media, and definitely not the players who once went toe-to-toe with Caitlin Clark on the court. But after months of rumors, cryptic posts, and subtle hints during interviews, Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull have just dropped the bombshell of the season, announcing that they're joining forces with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever for next year. Yes, you heard that right. The same rivals who once fueled some of the league's most heated moments are now set to become teammates in what's already being called the most electrifying WNBA lineup ever assembled. This isn't just a roster change, it's a statement, a cultural shift, and maybe even the spark that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about women's basketball. Because behind the headlines and the smiling press photos lies a story of rivalry, redemption, and strategic genius that's about to shake the entire league to its core. Before we get to this shocking alliance, let's rewind to where it all began. Caitlin Clark's rookie season was unlike anything the WNBA had seen in years. She wasn't just a player, she was a phenomenon. Sold-out arenas, record-breaking TV ratings, and social media engagement that made the league relevant to millions of new fans. But with that spotlight came something darker. Clark was targeted on the court, hit harder than most rookies, and often left isolated while critics questioned her toughness. The Fever showed flashes of brilliance, but they were inconsistent brilliant one night, disjointed the next. Meanwhile, on the other side of the league, Sophie Cunningham was becoming one of the WNBA's most polarizing figures. Known for her fiery attitude, aggressive defense, and unapologetic swagger, she built a reputation as the player who never backed down from anyone, including Clark. Fans either loved her or couldn't stand her, but nobody ignored her. Lexie Hull, on the other hand, was quieter, an underappreciated defensive powerhouse who had spent years building her craft. A Stanford graduate and mental strategist, Hull was often overshadowed by louder personalities, but teammates knew she was the glue holding teams together. So when word first spread that these three names could soon share the same locker room, people didn't believe it. It sounded impossible. After all, how could two of Clark's toughest rivals end up as her new allies? But as history has shown, sometimes the fiercest battles forge the strongest alliances. The internet practically exploded the morning the news broke. It started with an Instagram story from Sophie Cunningham, just a photo of a basketball emoji and the words, "Fresh Start." Minutes later, Lexie Hull reposted a Fever highlight of Caitlin Clark with the caption, "Iron sharpens iron." Within an hour, insider accounts confirmed what fans had started to piece together. Both Cunningham and Hull had agreed to terms with the Indiana Fever for the upcoming season. It was official. Caitlin Clark was getting two new high-profile teammates who, until recently, were viewed as her biggest on-court antagonists. ESPN analysts were stunned. Commentators called it the most unpredictable roster move in recent WNBA memory. On social media, fans didn't know how to react. Some were ecstatic, calling it the ultimate power move. Others accused the league of orchestrating a storyline to boost ratings. But as the Fever's general manager explained in a brief statement, this is about culture. This is about competition. We're not just building a team, we're building a mentality. The message was clear. The Indiana Fever weren't content to be a storyline. They wanted to be a dynasty. What most fans don't realize is that this partnership didn't just appear overnight. It was months in the making. According to league insiders, conversations between Cunningham's camp and the Fever's front office began quietly during All-Star Weekend. Sophie had grown frustrated with her team's stagnant progress and was open to a move, especially if it meant joining a squad with a proven generational talent like Clark. Meanwhile, Lexie Hull's ties to Indiana ran deeper than people thought. A former Stanford standout, Hull had maintained connections with Fever ownership through alumni circles. When discussions of a rebuild began, her name was one of the first floated by insiders as a culture fit. Reports suggest that Caitlin Clark herself was involved in the conversations. While she didn't dictate any signings, sources close to the team say Clark expressed admiration for Cunningham's competitiveness and Hull's professionalism. She wanted teammates who could match her intensity, and now she's getting exactly that. Cap space, created by the release of 2 underperforming veterans, gave the Fever just enough room to bring in both players without breaking their financial structure. It was a bold but calculated move that shocked the league offices. Let's talk basketball, because if you strip away the drama, this trio might just make perfect sense on the court. Caitlin Clark brings what nobody else can: unmatched shooting range, laser-sharp vision, and the ability to make her teammates better. Sophie Cunningham adds the grit, defense, and energy that Clark's teams have often lacked: a player who will dive for every loose ball and bring fire to the bench. And Lexie Hull? She's the balance. A consistent 3-and-D wing who can guard multiple positions and stretch the floor when defenses collapse on Clark. Together, they create something the Fever desperately needed: harmony. For the first time in years, Indiana will have the mix of experience, leadership, and raw talent to truly compete. Analysts are already calling them the modern triangle, not in the Phil Jackson sense, but in chemistry, trust, and spacing. When these 3 are on the floor together, defenses will have no idea who to double. Clark will find shooters, Hull will rotate into open space, Cunningham will draw fouls and force turnovers. It's a nightmare scenario for any opponent. ESPN's Holly Rowe said it best: Caitlin finally has soldiers who will go to war with her. Of course, not everyone is thrilled about this alliance. The announcement reopened old wounds and reignited rivalries. Within hours, clips of Sophie Cunningham's hard fouls on Caitlin Clark went viral again. Fans accused her of being fake or opportunistic. Comment sections filled with arguments, some calling her move a betrayal, others calling it redemption. Then came the memes. One viral tweet read, "Caitlin Clark finally forgave her villains and turned them into allies. Thanos would be proud." But beneath the humor was a real debate. Did the Fever make this move for basketball reasons or for business ones? Some fans pointed out that Cunningham and Clark being on the same team is the kind of storyline the WNBA's marketing department dreams about. Drama sells, redemption sells, and the league, still fighting for mainstream attention, knows it. Yet, even critics couldn't deny one truth: this team suddenly became must-watch television. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Multiple reports suggest that this move wasn't just about winning games, it was about building an empire. Insiders claim that major sponsors, including Nike and Wilson, quietly encouraged the deal. Both brands reportedly saw an opportunity to create a marketable trio: Clark's all-American star power, Cunningham's fiery image, and Hull's wholesome reputation. Together, they check every box for advertisers. Across the league, rivals are watching closely and nervously. Coaches are already studying film, trying to predict how to defend this trio. Analysts compare it to when LeBron, Wade, and Bosh joined forces in Miami, controversial at first, but game-changing in the long run. The Las Vegas Aces and New York Liberty are reportedly making roster adjustments to prepare for the Fever's new lineup. The WNBA just got its own version of a super team, and it's led by the player everyone's been talking about since she entered the league. Sponsorship offers are flooding in. One energy drink company reportedly offered all 3 players a joint marketing deal worth 7 figures. The Fever are now the hottest ticket in town, and for once, women's basketball feels like the center of sports culture. And while the debate continues whether this alliance was born out of business or genuine respect, one thing is certain: it's working. Ticket pre-sales for next season skyrocketed just hours after the announcement. Fever merchandise hit record highs on Fanatics. Even the team's social media accounts saw a 300% surge in engagement. But while fans celebrated, some insiders whispered about deeper motives. Rumors suggest that the Fever front office wanted to finalize the deals before the new WNBA CBA, which could change salary structures and endorsement rules. If true, Indiana may have just outsmarted the entire league. Still, the Fever declined to comment on any speculation. Their only statement: "We're focused on basketball." And maybe that's exactly what makes this story so intriguing, because it's not just about basketball anymore. It's about control, image, and influence. Reports from the Fever's private scrimmages are already circulating online, and the reactions are wild. Sources say the chemistry between Clark, Hull, and Cunningham is surprisingly natural. In one leaked clip, Clark feeds Cunningham a no-look assist in transition. Sophie finishes and laughs as the entire gym erupts. Hull later drains 3 consecutive corner shots after Clark's passes. What started as rivalry now looks like raw synchronization.